Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today, we're joining you from a quantum realm tiny house community. I mean, it's already bad enough down here. I don't know what they...
Can you guys guess where we were last weekend?
Yeah.
Yep, we were at the home show.
Yeah, but here's the cool thing. It's bigger on the inside.
Yeah, go figure. Isn't that something? Kind of like a hog, Harry Potter.
I mean, I know we should have really hit on this last week while we were actually there, but guys, I may want to buy one.
Oh, those tiny
I
houses.
want to build
are
one.
to be seen.
We got a deal cooking.
Here's my question is, does the tiny houses in the quantum realm, do they operate in fourth dimension, fifth dimension, or what? Are we dealing with people drinking out of Klein bottles, Alan?
Yo, you don't want to know what they're drinking over there,
Well,
Max,
it's National
trust me.
Wine Day, that was yesterday, so.
Well,
with enough wine, doesn't
Wine
matter.
Day lasts 3 at least.
Yeah, at least.
Really.
Anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I never thought we'd get that much mileage out of that stupid observation, stupid location.
I got news for you. We could get an entire show out of talking about quantum realms and tiny houses.
Yeah.
Honestly, yes.
Easily.
Well, we are going to talk about Antman and The Wasp, Quantumania. Brandon and I went and saw it. I'm probably not going to share my experience.
No,
I had an expanded
I
experience.
your experience.
I'm going to point out your experience because you didn't deserve that.
Okay.
Anyway, but we'll get into that later.
All right. Yeah, I had another one of these, bad human behavior at the theater. Let's put it that way. So
you're just playing into my evil trap.
Well, no, but let me explain something to the listeners at home. There's something about you, Joe, and sometimes it's to your benefit, and sometimes it's to your
detriment.
To detriment.
Yeah.
But whenever Joe is somewhere, a party could just spontaneously break out.
Well,
and it's great. It's
for
great
good or
when
bad.
It's great when we're like at a doing a location broadcast, or when we're doing they're called remotes. I'm an idiot this morning.
Yeah.
When we're doing the cons, when we're doing a promotional appearance anywhere. But it's not something that needs to happen at a movie theater or in line at the bank. And you have been hit a lot. I thought 2023 was beating me up.
Well, it's nowhere as bad as what you're dealing with. But anyway, we'll weigh in on that. But we definitely want to talk about Antman and the Wasp, Quantumania. There'll probably be spoiler light, or I don't know. We'll see. There'll be a few spoilers.
It's a Marvel movie. You probably already know what's going to happen.
Gee, we already know the plot.
I kind of predicted about 80% of it too.
It's not that hard.
But Max and Brandon are up on the latest Trigun show, which is a remake of. Or is it a remake, or is it updated? Or?
It's I would say it's updated.
It's a re-envisioning.
That's a good way of putting it. And I'm an old school fan of the old manga and the old anime series. I'm not a big anime guy in general, but that was one of those that kind of just roped me in.
Mm-hmm. It was silly and just it was just mind sticky.
Yeah. So they're going to weigh in on that later. But before we get started on any of this, and there may be other surprises, but we don't want to tease them because if we don't get to them,
you never know where we're
going to
get to.
But you guys, a trailer dropped, and I'll just say this right now. I don't have Apple TV, but this one might get me over the fence to buy it. A trailer came out.
I'm going to say, Joe, if they've got a trial, do it.
I think I'm going to do it when this show drops. A show called Tetris, based on a real story. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I started watching the video, and we can give spoilers because it's a trailer, but
right.
I'm watching this trailer, and it's like, oh, okay, so this is back in the 80s. It's the invention of Tetris, and it's like, oh, okay, so this is probably what it took to get it marketed. And then all of a sudden, it starts transitioning to communist Russia and tanks and, spies and intrigue. I'm like, what? What the heck? This is an epic story, apparently.
It's like there's a rabbit hole. And I'm going to say this drops at South by Southwest on March 15th, I believe.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was 31st.
No, that's when it drops on Apple TV.
Okay.
So people will get the chance to see it in the middle of March, and then it goes wide for everybody at the end of March. I don't want you to go looking any of this up until after you've gotten a chance to see it, Joe. But that's one of those rabbit holes that when you get into it, it is a roller coaster of emotion, intrigue, psychological torture, and everything else. Who would have thought that a game where you just put the blocks in order so that they disappear would lead to this? But there's so much more in the midst of all the making of. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And Alan wants to.
And Alan, you were around at that era.
Alan wants to talk about it. Me and you've talked about it.
We've talked about it in the past.
And
yes.
it's crazy, Joe. It's awesome.
There's so much more going on than you can possibly imagine.
And let's
with
just say
the introduction of Tetris to the U.S. market.
And let's just say Taron Egerton is becoming the king of the biopic.
Yeah.
Or the docudrama biopic.
Yeah, because I was asking Max, I said, who is that guy? He looks familiar. He goes, yeah, he played Elton John. I'm like,
he's the
he's
the gorilla.
You know him from Kingsman.
Right. I'm just saying, though, he's a guy that really
he did Eddie the Eagle.
persona.
I mean, it's like, he's a phenomenal actor, and you don't.
He is delivering skills way beyond his age.
He really is
truly going to be an amazing force
is he,
for years
how
to
old
come.
is he? He can't be that old.
I mean,
right?
he's
in his
a
30s or so.
He might be 30.
He looks like he's 12, but he's been around for at least 10 years, so he's got to be in his 30s.
Here's the thing.
He's 33.
Okay, Max, here's the thing, though. This trailer, it's, okay, for one thing, it's one of the best paced trailers I've ever seen, because you start, like I said, it's about it builds to an epic thing, and the soundtrack is what got Max. The way they combined
the final countdown by Europe with the Tetris theme is pretty impressive. Like the synchronicity, like the ability for them to be married harmoniously was pretty impressive. And it kind of also made me think of White Rabbit, because White Rabbit is essentially just one long crescendo, and it just boom right at the end. That's what the trailer was. Like, it was just one long crescendo.
For a band that had 2 hits their whole career, they sure have milked it. If you go on YouTube, there's 1 billion views of the final countdown.
There's a Geico commercial where they're sitting in front of a microwave singing the final countdown.
Right. It's been at every sporting event. You know, as the team's running out onto the court or onto the field, they're going to play that. I mean, those guys have really got some.
And I know
they got mileage.
I know I've said this before when it comes to geekdom, is we need to bring in some of the musical, because come on, there's nothing nerdier than music.
Sure.
So true.
I mean, it's true. We need to discuss music in this more. And actually hearing Max's passion for his description of music, it goes, we need a music segment that shows up at least once a month.
I think Max, there you go. There's your homework assignment.
Just bring in Ned Canty.
Yes.
But this trailer alone is epic, and it's fun to watch. And the music, it's one of the best music videos, almost, you could say. So definitely, we're going to be watching Tetris with great interest.
I wish the song that plays in after as we go to commercial break is the final countdown.
All right, Danny, you've got your own. We'll see. But you guys, we're going to take a quick break, and then Brandon and I are going to give us our review of Antman and the Wasp: Quantumania.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. They can name every member of the Green Lantern Corps in under 60 seconds. The Geek Patrol is back.
All right, Brandon, go.
No. No.
They're all green.
That is 7,200 individuals that are currently alive. That's not counting the ones that are dead. I don't have time to do it on this show. They need to give me 3 more hours.
Okay. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. Well, the fact that he knew how many are in there.
Oh, well, yeah.
Sinestro?
It used to be 3,600, but then they partnered everybody up, so it's 7,200.
There you go. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And Brandon is like an encyclopedia of nerddom.
And can I just say that, I mean, you want to talk about, your basic Earthian entitlement? Mm-hmm. We've got
Earthian entitlement. That's the name of my band, by the way.
We've got Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart. You could technically say,
Guy Gardner,
Alan Scott, but he's in the past.
Okay.
He's connected somehow. Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, Jessica Cruz, and Simon Baz. That's 6 active Green Lanterns from Earth,
and that's who we focus on.
Yeah.
But, well, maybe on other planets they focus on Larfleeze and all those other guys.
Well, no, because Larfleeze is boring. He's just a greedy bastard. I mean, that's just the way it is. Anyway, let's get over into the other of the big two.
Can you say that word on radio?
Yes.
All right. Just making sure, Max.
They named a file after it, so yes.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about Marvel instead of DC.
Like I said, the other of the big two.
So, Brandon, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania dropped, and let's put this out there. When the trailer came out, I'm kind of over a lot of the Marvel properties. However, I did tell you I was interested because the Quantum Realm interests me.
It intrigues you.
I was hoping the Quantum Realm would be the star of this movie. I was hoping I'd learn about the Quantum Realm and the dynamics at play in the Quantum Realm, and I really didn't.
No,
Brandon.
and I was hoping that we were really going to explain more, because there were so many questions left over at the end of Loki about Kang. There's so much about the Kang dynasty and everything else that they've been teasing, and they're like, all right, well, I want to learn about Kang, and we really didn't learn anything about Kang either. It is very much.
I don't know why he's so mad and why he destroys everything.
Well, he's kind of a petulant toddler.
Well,
he strikes me as just like, what's your beef, man? Why can't you live and let live?
Have a Red Bull and chill out, man. Sit down.
Well, you don't give him a Red Bull if you want him to chill out, Alan. I mean, but
in the comics, I felt like I didn't learn enough about Kang either, because I wanted. Okay, say what you will about Thanos, they fleshed that character out, and the interesting thing was when I knew what the plot was going to be for the Avengers, I told you guys, I said Thanos is a boring character to me. I couldn't care less. And then when they played it out, I'm like, this guy's fascinating.
Right.
So I didn't get that with Kang.
And meanwhile, Kang, who is a fascinating character, especially when you think about the various multiversal variants of him, like Rama Tut and the Crimson Celestial, and I could, again, there's almost as many Kangs as there are Green Lantern members.
Right.
And you saw them, sorry guys, spoilers. You saw them in a clip. But I mean, it all comes down to Victor Timely, who was his hidden persona, his alter ego, when he was trying to infiltrate Earth to begin with. And they just don't give you anything. You get Kang, he was exiled to the quantum realm, which, if you're not a MCU fan but you're more of a comics fan, that's the microverse, which that's where Rom Space Knight and the Micronauts and everything else come from, and they don't hit on really any of those characters. We get a handful of new characters that fit into that realm, but I mean, outside of Genesta, who is the rebel leader, and Kryler, who is played by Bill Murray, and
who phoned it in.
He phoned it in so hard.
Yeah. Which he does a lot anyway.
I mean, that's just Bill Murray, though.
Bill Murray is awful in this movie.
But it's all the characters you really meet are like newer characters.
Right.
Let me ask you a fundamental question, Brandon, because here's the thing.
Zev wants holes, and we want to give a shout out to our friend David Dasmalchian for still managing to get a presence in an Ant-Man movie without playing Kurt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did voice work that I totally missed. But I want to ask you something because, and Max, I know you're fascinated with this concept. Okay, if we look out into the universe, the notion is, well, it just keeps going on forever. It's an infinite universe. I guess we could debate that, Alan, in science. However, it's vast, right? Okay, well, there's this principle.
It's big.
There's a principle that if you go inward, let's suppose you have a sandwich and you cut it in half, and then you cut that half in half, and you just keep going down. It's almost infinite smallness, right?
To go back to ancient Greek philosophy, they would call this an infinite regress. It's the infinite amount of space between 1 inch and 2 inch, or 0 to 1. There's you could subdivide it like however many umpteens to the power or whatever, like to the billion, 10 to the billionth of power or whatever.
So the notion of an expanding infinite, thing, and then an inward infinite is fascinating, and that's where the quantum realm is.
Well,
right?
it's the old theories of Achilles. If he can run half the distance to you, he'll never reach you.
Right. So
you're always constantly getting smaller. So you break through into the opposite side. So it's like a numerical system where once you reach the finite point, the event horizon, it then opens into another world.
Okay. What were you saying, Max?
I was just going to say, too, it also just the thing about this movie is, like, it raises more interesting questions, like, about, like, the quantum realm. Like, I want to know, like, because, like, when in biology, we've yet to find the absolute bottom of a person, like this fundamental element or atom. Yeah, like we've yet to discover like what that fundamental atom is, and so like, is the quantum realm represent the fundamental bottom of everybody? And so does that mean we have a quantum realm within each of us?
Yeah, see, Brandon, that's what I was hoping for, because you know the quantum realm, I don't, and
yeah, it continues.
I didn't learn anything in this movie.
And that's really sad too, because they had the potential. I mean, they cut it at 2 hours. I give them all sorts of credit for not going over what you needed to do, but you didn't give us anything. This is supposed to be the beginning of Phase 5. This is a setup movie, and you feel that they're trying to set something up, but they don't give you anything where you really care.
That's the problem. There was people on screen doing things, but I didn't really care.
This was not this should not have been the Phase 5 stage. Episode 1 should not have been an Ant-Man movie.
Yeah, and we love the Ant-Man. We love the first two. They're great, but they had a theme.
Yeah,
and they had a rhythm.
There's a theme of. And when it comes down to it, a lot of it is relying on your friends and your family. And what do we do right at the beginning? We separate everybody. We'll get more into that in the next segment, but.
Yeah, we'll unpack. And I don't like to sound like a hater, but we report the truth here. We don't lie to you here at Geek Tank Radio.
Disney doesn't pay me, so I'm not gonna sugarcoat it.
So we'll wrap that up, and then also later we'll talk about the new Trigun show.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. Their superpower is watching TV and arguing about it. The Geek Patrol is back.
Yeah. And movies too.
Dude, I've got a black belt and all that.
Yeah.
I don't think we so much argue. A lot of times we sort of agree.
But we have to argue with the masses.
So much.
Brandon,
so much.
Once we get that as an Olympic sport, he's gonna run the table.
I think I'm over the age limit of being an alpha out there, but I will train. I'll be a coach.
Okay.
I was about to say, in the world of geek curling, I will run a broom for you. Easy.
How do they say it? Those who can do, those who can't teach, and those who can't teach, coach.
There you
All right,
go.
we're really okay.
I'm getting in trouble this week. It's going to be great.
Welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And I never imagined we get this much mileage out of these new rejoiners, which I'm really enjoying, but they're very thought-provoking. But, hey, before the break, Brandon and I were discussing our experience watching Antman and The Wasp. We did not watch it together, Brandon.
No.
You were at the 3 o'clock showing. I went to the 7:20 showing on Thursday.
I have found this sweet spot that when you're looking up for tickets, if you can find that they're doing a middle of the afternoon kind of thing on Thursday, it's almost like you're going to a fan event. Like
okay.
Because you're getting the people that have to be there first, right?
Right.
I got first showing.
It's like we got a free double-sided poster with it and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We had our choice of which popcorn tins we wanted to get when they've got a limited amount.
Yeah, before they're sold out when I go see them.
Well, it's like when I went and saw the Black Panther double feature fan event. I got a challenge coin that on one side is Black Panther, the other side's Wakanda Forever, and I collect challenge coins already. It's like So that's usually when I do it, and it's mainly because I work nights, so I can't really do the late night Thursday thing with everybody, which I still love to do, even though you didn't have a great experience with yours this time.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know.
I really hope that didn't taint your view of the movie, but the truth of the matter is that I'm feeling that we kind of have the same view of the movie. Is it had the potential to be amazing, and it had the potential to be a lot of fun, and what they ended up doing was giving us just enough of each of them for us not to give up on Marvel, but
well, here's the thing. Okay, and I'm gonna focus on Kang, and I forget the actor's name. So
Jonathan Majors.
But the guy's got a real charisma about him, and he's got a real presence on camera, and you're listening every time he says something.
Yeah.
However, one thing I think Marvel has done fairly well with the MCU was they make you see the villain's point of view. I'm especially thinking of Killmonger or Thanos, where you're like, okay, what you're doing is pretty rotten, but I do understand why you're doing it.
Right.
I didn't get any of that with Kang. I'm like, Kang, go sit in the corner, man. You are just a destructive, like you said, he's like a toddler that's just throwing a tantrum. I'm I really still don't understand his motivation, and that irritated me.
The motivation is really, it's laid out really well if you can get past how they lay it out in the final episode of Loki season 1.
That's the other thing. You got to watch more Disney properties to see it.
The Kang the Conqueror is the other side of the coin from He Who Remains, where they both wanted to try and keep the timeline in order. Kang the Conqueror was doing it by destroying other timelines that were created by incursions, while He Who Remains was dealing with singular incursions that were causing those branching timelines. Right.
Yeah.
The rest of them want to just dominate everything because that's their thing. It's like you look at some of the Kangs you see, like Ramatut. He's an Egyptian, despot basically. He is a pharaoh. Everyone is a peasant to him.
Yeah. I will say this too. There were moments, and I'm just gonna say that, and I don't want to be a hater, but I'm being honest. There were moments I was almost embarrassed to be watching this movie, and I say that because there was some dialogue that Paul Rudd was forced to deliver that I was like, I mean, when he's in there and like, you promised, you bring me my daughter. I'm like, just
our word is our bond. It's like, what? It's like, are we just going to throw out catchphrases while we run giantly through a bunch of people?
All right. The fact that the man who was hanging out with Captain Underpants over there is now talking about forced dialogue, that has got to be some horribly forced dialogue.
There's a big difference between choosing and...
I'm just reminded of an episode of Family Guy where Peter was watching this terrible movie and he just says, done, and walks out of the theater.
That's almost where I was at, too, Max. But
that was me with the original Daredevil movie.
But one thing, too, is one actress I really enjoy is Evangeline Lilly. And when you give her some material to work with, she's great. In fact, she saved, for me, the Hobbit movies. She was... But in the first and second Antman and the Wasp, she's got a real kind of, BA way about her. And she's also very intelligent and also very compassionate. She's a well-rounded character, but I don't think they gave her the best material to work with here.
For this movie to be titled Ant-Man and the Wasp, they did not give her. When she was there, she knocked it out of the park every time she was on screen.
Right.
But it's almost like they were like, well, we want this to be about Scott and Cassie. Let's sideline everybody else. And let's make you not trust Janet any more than you possibly can.
You know what, though? I liked her. Janet Van... Michelle Pfeiffer did really well. I thought she was pretty cool.
I loved that. But, it's like rather than give Hope something to do, she's got to be sitting there side-eyeing her mom, questioning her every motive. And I think that really kind of takes away from the epicness that could have been that story, that story arc.
Yeah, I feel like they missed. They had themes available, and really the quantum realm should have been a fascinating concept.
And I'm going to say something, and guys, this is spoilers. Trust me, if you don't want to hear what I'm fixing to say, you don't want spoilers, mute us for the next few minutes, and then come back for the next segment.
Okay.
I think they set something up that could have been the highest stakes of any Marvel film, and then they just let it go. And that would have been in the midst of that fight with Kang and Scott at the very end.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Late for that, okay.
Well, everybody knew those two were going to fight at the end.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
It's all over the advertising.
But let me get this out before we're out of this. Scott could have died there.
I thought maybe he was gonna. That's what I
thought he was going to, because he delivers the best line of dialogue in the whole movie was, "You can't win," and he goes, "I don't have to win. I just have to make sure we both lose."
Yeah, that would have been a good sacrifice yourself moment, and yeah, exactly. So I don't know. All right, enough hating on that. Let's talk about something we love when we come back, or at least that you guys love.
It was so good,
and it's the new Trigun.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. Tom Servo is their spirit droid. The Geek Patrol is back.
Amen, brother. Don't roll your eyes.
I'm pro all the way, dude.
Brandon and I both went,
Servo is the master. So all hail Tom Servo. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And we've done a little bit of hating today. Well, no, we gave the new Tetris trailer a lot of love.
We gave honest criticism.
We gave honest critique, which is what we do here. You don't want to tune in and have a bunch of cheerleaders mindlessly supporting everything that comes out. If we don't like something, we're going to tell you.
And you don't have to agree with us.
Yeah, but this one, okay, now you and Max are the ones that are following this reboot. What is it, Max? It's a
re-envisioning
of Trigun, which is a classic anime and manga.
Oh, yeah.
It's the CG animation version, and then they just kind of went, we're going to reimagine the story a little bit.
Oh, you're diminishing it, Alan.
All right, well.
Hey, I'm totally down with this. I'm not as up to date as y'all.
Well, let's hear about it, you guys.
I'm not upset about this at all.
No. Okay.
So going into this, I was a little worried because, anytime they take something that is, precious, there is that option that they are going to make it where you don't like it. I've had that situation with various things they brought back. I'm glad that it's got an audience because it'll keep the nostalgic merch coming my way.
Right.
But not every version of Ninja Turtles or Scooby-Doo or anything else like that is for me.
Yeah.
And I've kind of felt that was how this was going to be. And then I sat through, it's like I kept putting it off. Because I was a little worried because, they got rid of one of my favorite characters and they changed the dynamic of another. And I was like, all right, Max wants to talk about this. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch it. I told him I'd watch it. And there were 6 episodes subtitled. And then the first 3 episodes were dubbed English. And I was like, all right, we're going to do the subs first because that's the right way to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I prefer that with Japanese anime.
And I
always like the
through
subtitle.
I sat through those first 6 episodes without moving.
Wow.
I literally, episode to episode, didn't get up, didn't go, didn't run to the bathroom, didn't get my drink, didn't even pet my dog. I'm just sitting there staring, and I'm like going, this is awesome.
And it's we said, it's a re-envisioning, but what's comforting is the fact that Yasuhiro Naito, who was the original creator of Trigun, actually has his hands in this cookie jar. It's like how Neil Gaiman had his hands in creating the Sandman series. And so, yes, there's a few tweaks to the new Sandman series and new Trigun Stampede, but it's in the hands of the faithful creators.
And it
makes a difference.
It never once feels like it is
inauthentic.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like a genuine vision in line with everything else. And what it really does well is it blends the darkness and the violence of the manga with a story we're familiar with, but kind of told slightly askew.
And not only that, but they also introduce important plot elements earlier rather than later, which is nice. Like the fact that they introduce knives a lot earlier rather than the main antagonist seeming like Legato, and the Legato's not introduced till like the 6th episode or so.
Right. And we get touches on things that were just glossed over in the original anime, like Wolfwood's origin for all intents and purposes. And we get Livio, which we don't get Livio at all in the original anime. He's a character that showed up in Trigun Maximum, who has a very important connection to Wolfwood and Chapel, which, if you know the manga, you know what I'm talking about. But I don't want to. This is something I don't want to spoil for anybody because these are really good stories told well.
Is this kind of the theme being like how there's sort of I don't know, a cross between sci-fi and like an old Western in The Mandalorian, and you said it's like that in this show too.
And it makes me think a lot of, like, in terms of the fluidity of the animation, it makes me think of if Disney did a space Western, like it just has that level of quality there.
Because the old Trigun, this definitely is better animation than the old one, right?
It's very pretty. I mean, if you had decided to, come back and bring the story into the modern era and just be a continuation of the original, but went with this art style, it would have felt like a natural evolution. But coming into this, like right off the bat, it's a little jarring to begin with if you are a fan of the old anime, but it smooths out so quickly. It really does.
All right, I'm gonna say the one thing that really attested to the creating of this. They only released the first episode and it only for early review and early critique. The rest of it, lock and key until the actual release so that everybody could experience all of the changes and all the nuances together.
Yeah.
You didn't have a bunch of people out there typing up, wait till so-and-so shows up and wait till you see what they did to so-and-so's costume. Episode 2 and 3 and 4, everything was clean and fresh to the audience.
I only have one complaint when it comes to the animation, and that's really just because in the redesigning of Meryl, she lost a very significant part of her outfit. That it works because she's younger here than when she was when we meet her in the original anime.
Yes.
But everybody who knows the tiny, 2-shot 22s, Derringers in her coat.
But Roberto has those this time.
He does. He has the guns, but it's like when she flows that coat out and you see them attached all throughout. It's kind of the same thing with Wolfwood and the Punisher. We saw it in full regalia to begin with.
And I got a laser blaster rocket launcher update rather than just a rocket launcher.
Yep.
And is it still true that he's a expert gunslinger, but he doesn't kill people?
Yes. That's Vash the Stampede. Wolfwood has no qualms with killing, even though he's a man of the cloth.
Yeah, go figure. Okay. But being a, I mean, that's interesting.
I had a little bit of a wait. What when he tells you he's not a priest, he's just an undertaker. But it fits the new vision of the character. And they also took a lot of the stuff that they kept hinting at and the mystery of the anime. They've brought it full circle. So while it's still a mystery for the characters in the anime, you know it. That way you can't just say, I know where this is going because I know what happened in the original. They just throw it out there and you're seeing it from all angles as opposed to just seeing it through what's going on with Vash right here and now.
Okay, so you say that's the best change?
Yes.
There you go.
Is this a good anime to because you can't say blanket that anime is one type.
No.
Anime is all sorts of different feels and everything. Is this a good one to introduce people to, you think?
I think
if they
so.
want to get in the world of anime?
I think so. It's easy to jump into, and it's just a ton of characters you love.
Wait, where's it at? Where are they showing it?
Hulu and also Crunchyroll.
Hulu and Crunchyroll.
All right, cool. Well, another interesting episode of Geek Tank Radio. It's over, guys. We got to get out of here. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Alan Gilbreth.
I'm Maximilian.
And I'm Brandon Olmstead, reminding you to get in your applications to be one of the gung-ho guns for Max's own version of Trigun.